All right, we have breaking news right now. Let's go straight up to Sky Fox overhead. What are we looking at? A pursuit? Where are we, Stu?
Hey, good morning, Araxia. I'm sorry, maybe Sandra. Hey, good morning. This is going to be southbound 57. That big rig definitely in pursuit. You can see it making some erratic turns right there. Just moments ago, there was complete stop on the 57 freeway. They had the whole freeway shut down. This guy took the emergency lane and didn't even slow down. What's going on right now? Well, that's going to be the regular traffic on the southbound 57. This big rig is picking some bad freeways as far as open roads go. Who's chasing them? Well, that's going to be Fontana PD. And you know what? California Highway Patrol, we were listening on the way out here, and they were saying, hey, we got spike strips. We can get some people in place. We'll drop some spike strips for you. We'll take this pursuit over. Fontana PD said, you know what? No, thank you. We've got this. And that pursuit has been continuing. Clearly, it started way out in the Fontana area. It was on the southbound 15. That's kind of when our assignment desk said, hey, Sky Fox, this is going on. You need to start heading that way. By the time we were in the air, he was on the westbound 60, and he's been on the westbound 60 pretty much since until he got to that 57, southbound on the 57. What's going on? Well, we don't know exactly what the deal is with the big rig. It doesn't have a trailer on it, and what appears to be is just the driver in that cab. They were saying it's cold-plated. Cold-plated is kind of cop talk for the license plates don't really match that vehicle. That was the original reason why they lit the car up or the truck up to try to get it to stop, and that pursuit was on. How many of the officers are behind them? A number, and they are full lights and sirens. Clearly, the problem is that they can't really do a pit maneuver with that big rig. You think they might be able to try? Well, I don't know. I'm just going to say right at this time they're going to stay away from that maneuver. But the driver, we don't know anything about him. Is this a professional driver? Is this somebody who just stole the truck? What is going on here? The driving seems to be pretty steady. That's the only thing I can say right now, but that is a very heavy rig, a lot of power underneath that hood. We all know that. It is a big rig. So obviously the public, and if there is a collision, it's definitely going to be something that might not turn out so well. And that is what the law enforcement, they're about as well. Looks like we're going to be jumping off the freeway here. I'm going to bring up some tech on the screen so you guys can follow along, but we'll keep an eye on this pursuit. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me.
It looks like police are pretty close to this suspect, following closely behind. And I have to say, the freeway isn't as packed as one would expect around this time of the morning, although he did get off.
Yeah, you know what? The traffic is really tight and very slow and go. That big rig, like I said, they had the whole freeway shut down just moments ago up by Brea Canyon. Don't know if it was because they knew this was coming or not, but they definitely, that big rig didn't seem to bother him. He made a really professional move, just got in the emergency lane and never even really slowed down. Right now, though, I believe that was a solid red going through there, keeping those maps up so we can keep an eye on it. But Fontana PD, they're right behind them. They've got this one officer's got a number of officers behind him, and you know this is the thing. Right now we're in the Garden Grove, so we're in the Fullerton area or near Fullerton. So I'm sure the local law enforcement definitely aware of what's going on. Are they in the area? Probably. These red lights. This is kind of worrisome, making a left turn right there. And again, does this guy know where he's going? Who knows? You know, that is the big question. But at least he's keeping those speeds relatively slow. That truck without a trailer on it, it probably could pick up some speed pretty quickly. Those engines and the gearing clearly made for power and not so much high end. But definitely with nothing on it, that truck can really start to move. We can see him right now getting into the 50-mile-an-hour mark on surface streets. This stuff really does bother me. It scares me. That big truck, it definitely has no load on it, so it might be able to stop quickly, but if it does collide with somebody, this could be devastating.
And this is not something you see normally, a pursuit of a truck like this, a rig and the cab right there, thankfully without a trailer, but also this size of a vehicle going through residential areas like we're seeing right now, blowing through red lights. It's certainly a big concern.
Definitely. And you saw, I believe that was going to be Fullerton PD, that black and white that was in that one intersection right there, keeping the public safe. That is the biggest thing for the law enforcement. That is what is number one on their list. Yes, apprehending the suspect is definitely there, probably on the top 3, but keeping the public safe, definitely going to be that number one on the list. And other law enforcement agencies, they do what they can to assist, even if in this case Fontana PD is saying, hey, we don't need anybody's help right now. I'm sure now that they're on surface streets, they're probably taking just about any kind of help that they can get. Look at this intersection, almost coming to a complete stop, which is a good thing. And then of course he's not going to open. This isn't a pickup truck. This isn't a car. That acceleration rate that we saw right there, that is pretty much what that truck can do. And again, my question is this a professional driver? And now that I say it, it looks like there may be somebody in the passenger seat as well. Oh, there's definitely somebody in the passenger seat. Yeah, and maybe they're passing something back and forth, and maybe it's... Go ahead.
Is someone in the middle, too? Or is that kind of a...
Can't tell.
Okay, well, there's definitely two people.
Definitely 2 people indeed. And I almost thought maybe this guy's putting a cassette in there, but then I thought, wait a minute, this is 2025.
Like
Nobody has a cassette player anymore. Yeah, but at any rate, definitely some activity going on between that passenger and the driver. Hopefully that passenger's doing the, hey, maybe we should just pull over and bring this to an end. Hopefully that's what the conversation is. Probably not, though. The truck continuing on now. We are been basically staying in a southbound, southbound direction. So we're going to keep on moving. Hopefully he doesn't get into the Anaheim area where it's going to be tough for us to keep up, because that Disney does definitely have that TFR policy up where we cannot enter, and it'll make it very difficult for us. But right now we're continuing on, speeds safe. Let's call it that right now. But Fontana PD, they've got the task of bringing this thing to a stop safely. But it definitely looks like it's not just one officer. It's one officer, and he brought a lot of his friends along. And, of course, when this comes to an end, if they want it or not, whatever jurisdiction we're in, I have a feeling we're going to see a number of other officers from that jurisdiction joining in, especially if there's a foot chase or some kind of other situation. A little bit of a hard right turn right there, joining some traffic. And it looks like that I actually appreciate that. It's going to keep us out of that Disney TFR. But the pursuit continuing. And, of course, Fontana PD, how are they going to stop this thing? You can't really pit it. Then it's not just because of the size. It's because where are you going to make contact? You know, it's going to be very difficult. If you hit those wheels, it's probably not going to help the cruiser. So how are you going to pit this thing? It's going to be an interesting thing indeed. As far as spike strips go, they're going to need some kind of at least interagency help if they're going to throw some spike strips down. So far, Fontana PD not asking for any help.
Yeah, what are the options really? I was just thinking that would spike strips even work on something of this magnitude?
Because it's so big. There's 10 tires there. Also, a lot of these big rigs have different types of communication. I mean, back in the day, what do you call it? The CB radios, right? Hand radios. Nowadays, scanners, perhaps ways of talking to each other on the road. I wonder if it's equipped with that, and other drivers out there. There you see another big rig right there, not carrying a trailer. I wonder if they could all hear each other and talk to each other.
I venture to say that there might still be some sign of CBs in there. That the Citizen Band, that's what CB stands for. I would venture to say they might have something a little bit more modern, and I'm being very serious about that. I do have a couple truck driver friends. I should really ask them if they're not texting me already, listening to me, because I know that they have a lot of tech in those new trucks. This one, it doesn't look like a long haul truck, and the only reason I say that, it doesn't have a sleeper on the back. So, but those long haul truckers, they definitely have a lot of ways of communicating. It does get boring out there, and of course help is always just a call away if something happens and you're in a desolate area. Right now though, that's not really the topic that we should be talking about. But that officer, this one right there, that one that's right behind him, you saw him, he got out of his truck and he was ready to maybe even just walk up to the door. And then the light changed, and then the truck was bad. The big rig was was back on the go. Other officers, I did see a canine unit back there. That's probably if this becomes more of a standoff and or some kind of foot pursuit at the end. But 2 people in that truck, we know that for a fact, the driver and a passenger, what they're talking about, what the plan is. You know what, I'm going to go with there is no plan. They're just driving right now. Fontana PD, they've got to come up with the plan on how they're going to bring this thing to a stop safely.
So Stu, a couple things. One, I don't see any kind of label or brand or anything on that vehicle at all. It's just plain, correct?
Yes, most definitely, and it does look a little bit newer. I'm not super well versed on big rigs, but this cab definitely looks newer. There doesn't seem to be a lot of wear on any of the parts, and that might have been one of the reasons why possibly. And again, I'm saying possibly because the license plate doesn't match. So possibly it was taken. Maybe somebody thought, well, you know, we can make some money on this. Getting a little bit better look at that passenger right now. They got the window down. Definitely, you know, maybe they're trying to feel a little less stressed about what's going on, but it's definitely continuing. And again, I'm just going to try to get a better look right there, making a little bit of an erratic turn. Probably, well, I don't know what that was about. Oh, wrong side of the road. Oh, because of the traffic that was coming up, probably. So yeah, definitely going to keep an eye on what's going on, and I just want to get a better look at the passenger and maybe get a little bit more of a feel about what's going on inside that cab. Is there a heated discussion? It looks like we might be turning back onto the freeway. There's an on-ramp right there. Could be doing it. And it looks like we're getting back onto the freeway.
The second thing I was gonna ask you is, I haven't seen, I don't know if you can tell if there were any police units, but now we're back on the freeway in front of the cab. But I suppose that's different now since we are back on that freeway now.
Well, they have the opportunity to get back onto the freeway. Let me take a look here. This is a long on-ramp. They actually have a couple of, oh, no, don't, just get back on the freeway. But we'll take a peek here in just a second. No, they don't usually put the officers in front of the vehicle. I've actually wondered about that as well. Maybe do like a rolling roadblock or something, get a number of officers and then just kind of slow down in front of it and kind of give it away, not a way that get around. But that one is kind of another one where they, you know, policy, they frown on that because it puts officers at risk, and it actually sets up a situation where if the suspect acts aggressively, then, you know, it becomes a legal issue, and so they just stay away from that, the rolling roadblock idea. But between you and I still think it's a good idea. It would probably bring something like this to at least slow enough to where maybe they could do something else with it. But right now, back onto the 91, at least we're heading westbound. That truck, look at the tanks on there. You got 2 saddles. If that thing is full of fuel, believe me, Skyfox is going to have to land for fuel, and we're going to rejoin it. We might be going all day and maybe into the evening. But this isn't really we shouldn't be making too much fun about it because we just don't know how this thing's going to end. But the freeway looks really good right now, traffic wide open. And Fontana PD still in pursuit. A number of vehicles, one of them a canine, probably there for when this comes to an end. They might have to use the dog maybe to help talk that person out of the cab, or those 2 people out of the cab. Or if it becomes a foot chase, that dog might actually be able to help chase and pick up a scent.
We don't know, of course, who's driving, who's behind the wheel, who the passenger is at this point, or their relation to each other, if any. But it looks like whoever is driving does have some expertise, because the level of skill in maneuvering that big vehicle, that cab, that truck, it's pretty smooth. You do need a certain license for this.
Definitely, and you know, and of course, excellent observation. Definitely, that driver relaxed. Look at that hand movement right there. He actually was like peeking out the window. Maybe they're watching us right now on the app, and if they are, just pull over before somebody gets hurt. That's just a piece of advice. But definitely, you can see that relaxed movement down there. How he's handling that steering wheel, is swinging it around. So that definitely means, but there we are. We're off the freeway already. That's one of the reasons why we shouldn't stay so tight all the time. We kind of lose track about where where we are. Fontana PD, though, they don't find this as interesting. They just want to bring this thing to an end. And, of course, there's right behind it lights and sirens. At least it's giving the public a heads up that this is going on. And, of course, you know what? They have the opportunity to basically ask for help at any time. That helicopter that just went by, I believe that's going to be for 40 King, and that's going to be the Sheriff's Department. And we are actually being told that we have to hang for a second because we're getting into Fullerton's airspace. They're holding us right now, but we'll be able to keep, hopefully we'll be able to keep an eye on it. And it does seem like we are starting to move a little bit forward. Dylan's at the tiller today. Believe me, he is as interested in staying with this as probably everybody watching, and me, of course. But we're going to do what we can to stay with it. And right now, waiting for Fullerton to say you're clear to cross, and those are the magic words we're waiting for the tower. But as far as that pursuit's going, look at those speeds; those are relatively slow, and that is a huge plus indeed. And of course, now in the Garden Grove area, I just got to wonder if every agency is asking them, "Hey, do you guys want our help?" And they're turning them down every one, or if maybe they just stopped offering because they know that they've been turned down so many times before. And now we are moving.
So, Stu, just for people who are just joining us, let's set the scene and talk about what happened when we joined the coverage and what we know so far.
Okay, copy that. And you know what? I just want to be clear because I actually know some of these people. It's actually Duke 1 that's over it right now. 40 King went back to San Bernardino. I was a little confused by the paint job, but it is Duke 1 that's going to be the Orange County Sheriff's Department. My buddy Tim might be flying right now. But at any rate, that's the agency that's over it. What's been going on? How did this start for the people that are just joining us? Well, that is a big rig, clearly, without a trailer. This started out in the Fontana area. Now, the original reason for the stop was the license plate did not match the vehicle. An officer, for some reason, was like just running the plate, kind of curious about what was going on possibly, and it didn't come back to that truck, so they turned on their lights and sirens, and the pursuit was on. That big rig failing to stop. Got onto the freeways pretty quick. It was on the 15 for some time, got onto the 60 westbound, and then we picked it up right about the 57, just south of the 60. This pursuit on the freeway for some time. No collisions. That driver seems to be very calm and very about what is going on. Doesn't seem to be stressed about any of that driving. We did figure out that there is a passenger inside there. Can't really make out male or female, but definitely another person inside that truck. We did see some communications between the two, like them handing stuff back and forth. So not really sure what the whole thing is. Is this a stolen vehicle and they just put the wrong plates on it? What was going on? Why did why aren't they stopping? But right now, I'm just telling you, we are made our way from the freeways onto surface streets. Those speeds, they continue to be relatively slow, and that is a positive. Some people might be saying, well, how fast can that thing go? I can tell you for a fact that that truck without a trailer probably could be going 80 miles an hour on these roads. He is not, and that is a huge plus. Fontana PD, they've got a number of officers there, and if you didn't catch it on earlier on, they've had offers. They've had offers from the California Highway Patrol. They've had offers from some other these smaller departments when we were in Fullerton, per se, saying, hey, we can assist. And they basically said, no, thank you. We got this. So how are they going to bring this thing to a stop? Well, spike strips, I don't think they're going to be able to get ahead of it and use the spike strips because, you know what, we don't really know where it's going. And neither does the Fontana PD. A pit maneuver, that would be very difficult too, because if you take a look back there, you have nothing really that bumper can grab hold of and kind of push that truck around. You've just got those tires, and I can tell you, if that bumper, that push bumper comes in contact with those moving wheels, it's going to lift that PD vehicle up. So how do they stop it? They have to wait for an opportunity. Maybe they'll run out of fuel. If those tanks are full, this thing could be going for hours, literally, maybe even a day. But right now, we're in the Anaheim Garden Grove area. Still very slow speeds, but we saw it. All three of us, we all saw it. Well, four. Dylan's here as well. But we've all seen it. It is, he has run red lights, made crazy illegal turns, driven on the emergency lane. So reckless is definitely there, but at least high speeds are not.
Have you noticed any patterns, Stu, of where this driver is going? Do you feel like he's circling a certain area or favoring a certain perimeter?
No, and that's another, wow, excellent question, for real. We're headed westbound right now. And when he was on the freeway, westbound was also the direction they were headed. I don't know if it was the traffic that changed his mind, that he decided maybe we should get onto some of these side streets. Maybe, maybe they are just driving slow, looking for an opportunity. They saying, oh, you know what, maybe if we pull in here or go over there, we can jump out of the cab and try to hide somewhere. This is a little unusual, picking up the center and coming to a stop.
Okay.
Maybe
Let's
out of
see what
fuel.
happens.
Oh,
coming out.
Oh, no, no,
he's
he just-
dropping something.
no. What did he drop there? What was that? Just a water bottle? Maybe a can of beer? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what was going on, but they definitely, like I said, they brought the dog, tails wagging. Let's see. I know the passenger side window is open, and I have no idea why this person came to a stop and picked this location right here. Let's get a little wider. Maybe we can figure it out. I don't know. There's nothing really obvious jumping out at me, but definitely out here on Commonwealth near Las Robas, and coming to a stop is a good thing. Not coming out of the tractor, that might not. Oh, come on. Yeah. And that hand motion is almost like, you had the opportunity. It was almost like he's like, well, I have to go now. I have to go. But these guys not joking around, and this is what I was talking about. That's some of the local law enforcement right there. They are aware of what's happening, and quote-unquote official help, I'm doing the air quotes, you guys can't see me, is one thing, but being nearby to assist, that is something entirely different. They're definitely, it's all law enforcement, and believe me, they all want to get the bad guy, and if they're helping out one of their brethren, more power to them, they're going to help. Right now, it looks like we're making another turn, but like you said, or like the question was, is like, why are we here? Why are you picking this random street?
Right.
It's very residential. This is all becoming very peculiar.
Yeah, not what we want to see. A big rig moving through a residential community like that in pursuit, right? So clearly just bizarre. I mean, I know you've covered a lot of these pursuits, Stu, for many, many years, and one can say you've seen it all, but really no pursuit is like another, right? This is so unique, and you just never know what's going to happen. We never expected that driver to stop in the middle of Commonwealth Avenue and drop a bottle of something and then keep going.
You know what? Exactly. There's never two the same, and for some reason, somebody always asks, like, what was the craziest one? What was the, they're all crazy, and it is just like, where are you going? What are you doing? And why are you doing it? That's kind of the thing. And I always kind of think, you know what? They probably just are looking at it like, I'm not in jail right now. I'm not wearing those silver cuffs. As long as I can not wear the silver cuffs, I'm winning. In his mind, he's still winning. So definitely, I'm going to go with a male passenger. Somebody down there in an orange shirt has some kind of conversation with the folks inside the truck. I don't know if they know each other. That was a little interesting because it definitely was standing out almost in the road there for a moment. And then when the truck, actually the guy slowed down, and there definitely seemed to be some conversation between the passenger and that person on the roadway. So maybe they picked that neighborhood because they know somebody over here. Maybe that's what it was looking for. Like they're looking for some sort of support, which hopefully they don't get, because whoever helps these people, they might be putting themselves in some kind of legal bind as well. Right now, those speeds definitely, 30 miles an hour, but that's still very dangerous. If somebody steps out in front of that truck, that could be fatal. And definitely back into a residential neighborhood. Let's kind of get out of the doubler and kind of just get you a little bit of a wider picture. But like you said, do we see any patterns? I'm starting to see a pattern here. We're starting to do blocks. So it really kind of makes me think that we're in a neighborhood that this driver or passenger knows.
I'm still curious about that at the moment where the the trailer just stopped, and it appeared as though maybe we were making some progress. When the door opened, it looked like a bottle. Did it fall out, or was it deliberately thrown out? And what was the purpose of that? Obviously, we have no idea. And for a moment, it looked like this might be wrapping up, but that is certainly not the case. And as we watch this, Stu, it really feels like, to me, we're going in circles. Big circles around a certain area. And we do talk about from time to time when there is a pursuit and someone has stolen a vehicle and they're making a run for it, they go to areas or neighborhoods that they're familiar with. And obviously we don't know if this is the case, but it could very well be the case.
They're sorry about those little bit of pirouettes with the camera. I wasn't sure exactly where he was going, and sure enough, as soon as I thought, well, he's going that way, we went a different way. I still do not have any IFB, so I cannot hear the anchors. I'm just letting you guys know that. The truck continues to move along down there. We're definitely still in the Santa Ana area. That one was a solid red, but you know, this was a thing too. Somebody asked me one time, is like, do those drivers get charged with every infraction when they're in a pursuit? Well, it also depends on the agency and also the officers that are writing up the report, but the simple answer is probably going to be no. They're not going to sit there and say, oh, you ran a red light at the intersection of Auto Center and Beach. You know, that's not what they're doing. The big one is basically felony evading, and then also, and that's pretty much it, and then whatever else is attached to it. If that's a stolen vehicle, then they're probably going to get stuck with the stolen vehicle or theft of a vehicle as well. So they're only going to go for the big ones. They're not going to go for all the little ones. Making their way back onto the freeway right now. Clearly, you guys can see it. We're going to be northbound on the 5. Not really too happy about a northbound 5 drive, but and it's not because of the traffic. It's because of where it's going to be, might be taking us. But at any rate, that big rig continuing on. Fontana PD behind it in force. We did see those officers get out a couple of times. Also, still got to say it, I cannot hear Roxia and Sandra, but I'm going to toss it back to you just for a moment, and maybe I can get a hold of somebody in TOC.
All right, we've been continuing to follow this pursuit of a semi. This is in the Buena Park area, as you've been hearing Stu up in Skyfox telling us where this driver has been driving around. There is a passenger also in that cab. Thankfully, that semi-truck not carrying a trailer right there, but you could see veering off the freeway onto the freeway, going into residential neighborhoods, blowing through red lights, making turns, but thankfully not at dangerous speeds. We have seen this driver go into opposing lanes of traffic and also making some sharp turns there, but have no idea at this point what is involved in all of this, why the driver is in that semi, and at one point stopping on Commonwealth Avenue in the middle of the street, opening its driver's side door, and it appeared to be a bottle that fell out or was thrown out onto the street and then picked up driving once again. So this pursuit continuing with Fullerton Police leading the way and in pursuit with several patrol cars behind this tractor trailer without a trailer. So clearly unknown as to why this person is doing this and what the objective is here, but limited options for law enforcement in terms of stopping this tractor trailer because of the fact that a pit maneuver may not be the best idea since it is such a big truck that you're dealing with, as well as the variation and the makeup of the tires, how it's situated. You couldn't actually grasp any of those spike strips as well. So clearly right now it's wait and see with the airship overhead tracking this vehicle as well as patrol cars in pursuit.
So this did begin in Fontana for those who are just joining us, and it's all because the license plate didn't match the vehicle when a police officer ran the license plate number. For whatever reason, they had reason to do this. Maybe they felt like something was suspicious about the cab or the individual who was behind the wheel. Yes, so there are two people, as far as we know, the driver and the passenger. And, you know, Sandra, you mentioned how it seems as though the person behind the wheel has some experience. It does, because this isn't an easy vehicle just to pick up and drive. They seem to be maneuvering it smoothly, right? And this could very well be a dangerous vehicle to be behind when you're making a run for it from the police. But it seems as though they sort of know what they're doing, and they have a very casual, nonchalant demeanor. Anytime we've been able to get a closer view from the window or the windshield, by the way the driver is controlling the wheel, it just seems very just casual, as if they don't have a number of police officers in pursuit behind them.
That's right, Stu, up in Skyfox. Do we know so far what police may be thinking? Do they let this guy go and just follow it through with a helicopter, or maybe it's pulling over to the side? You just never know.
You just never know, right? And you know what's interesting is, do you see that? I just was kind of wondering if that blue truck that was earlier on with the trailer, it was blocking lanes. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure. Maybe that truck was trying to help out somehow. I'm sure, truckers, they all are very, also a tight-knit little group. And, of course, if they have any implication that this might be a stolen big rig, they probably feel for whoever it was taken from, if it wasn't from a corporation. And even if it was, it's still a stolen big rig. And they might be trying to help out, just in that gray area. Like, oh, you know what, maybe I can make a U-turn right here and kind of block that road. But at any rate, the officers from Fullerton PD bound there, or maybe it was Anaheim PD, you saw them out there, and it did look like he was ready maybe to throw out a spike strip. So, like I said, if officially helping or officially joining the pursuit, they might be saying no. But if they can help in some type of situation, they definitely will. But right now, though, this pursuit getting back onto the up onto the 91 we go, and eastbound. So we're going back to where we came from, or the general direction. Let's see if he gets off in that same area over there by Fullerton. Dylan this morning, basically, we had a little conversation. I was asking him, I said, were you really working my camera skills? And he said, well, if somebody's going to do it, it's you. At any rate, we're going to keep an eye on it. And we're going to keep an eye on it, and it's continuing on. We can make a little light of all this because nothing has really happened as of yet as far as collisions or any type of attempt to injure an officer. The speeds, you can see it right there, 54 miles an hour. He's on the freeway. That truck probably could do better. But then I was also thinking about it, is it might actually have if it's a company truck and not actually owned by an individual, it might have a limiter on it. So maybe 55, 60 is the top speed for that vehicle. All that really doesn't make any difference. The big problem is he's not using that other pedal, the one in the middle, that brake, and bringing this thing to a stop and getting out of that truck. I'm really curious what that was that he tossed out, if that was a water bottle, possibly a beer can. Maybe that was a statement he was making, but you can see it right there. You've got people passing him on the freeway. So 51 miles an hour, definitely a pursuit. Continuing out here on the eastbound 91. And you can see Fontana PD, they're kind of blending in with the vehicles on the roadway. But take a look at the number. I'm kind of wondering, maybe there's some CHP in the back. I will not lose that truck, believe me. No, these are all Fontana units. So Fontana, they've got a lot of skin in the game, is the way to say it right now. So as far as it just letting them go, I doubt they're going to do that.
A lot of resources.
I am wondering, though, what led to, we know that the license plate didn't match the vehicle, and this is what started the whole thing, but what made the officer or officers run the license plate to begin with? What was going on? We don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet, but the officers, they're all, they if it was a stolen vehicle, they have a list. They really, truly do. And if one of them is white big rig, well, that matches the description, and it's not, you don't see, this would be an unusual thing, so that might have been the reason. They definitely have to have a reason, I understand that, to run the plate, but, maybe it was an illegal U-turn, maybe it was just, it had to have been some type of infraction for the officers to run that plate and try to light him up. But clearly, he didn't stop in Fontana. He hasn't stopped in any of the other cities. He has technically stopped, you're you're right. But we've seen that. He stopped in the roadway. But it hasn't come to an end anywhere, and it just continues on. Still, those speeds were about 43 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. Fontana PD, it's difficult. I really feel for these guys and gals that are chasing them right now. It's, how do you bring this thing to a stop? How do you do it safely? They have clearly all these police departments. They have protocols. You can't throw his car out in front of him or try to ram him or anything like that. I'm sure that's not on their list of, approved ways to bring a pursuit to an end. So how do they bring it to an end? And just following it, that command presence. Hey, we're right behind you. You need to pull over. We're seeing it, but it doesn't seem to be working for that driver.
He's toying with the officers following him right now, and what was interesting, the moment he stopped to throw out that bottle on Commonwealth Avenue, they were circling the residential area. At that point, the passenger had his window down and talked to somebody on the sidewalk. Now, do officers go back and then talk to that person and say, hey, what did he say? What's the state of mind? Will it help in this investigation and in this pursuit?
It depends. Maybe one of the officers from Fontana did stop just to, and, like I said, they were not going to arrest him. That person didn't legally do anything wrong, communication or yelling at him. And for all we know, the guy was just yelling at him, hey, pull over. What are you doing?
Right.
Bring this thing to a stop. But we just don't know. But of course, if they can, I'm sure that they would. Like if this was an LAPD pursuit and we were in LAPD's area, they would have a number of units. The description would have gone out and somebody probably would have gone by and, see if they could locate that person. In this case, they have a limited number of officers and with them from their department. So maybe they did, it probably didn't, because they probably felt like all those units that are behind this vehicle are needed in case this comes to some sort of end and there's a standoff and or a foot pursuit and they need to set up a perimeter. So I don't know. The answer is, I don't know, but I gave you a list of possibilities of what could have happened. Getting back on the freeway, northbound 5, and continuing on. This is one of those ones, like I said, we could be watching this for some time. And thank goodness a lot of the public not getting involved. A little bit of a break in traffic that might be because of the slower speeds of the big rig and the fact that law enforcement with lights and sirens are happening down there. But you know what? This is LA, and some of these folks are just like, yeah, that's not for me. I'm just going to keep on going. I got to get to the mall or whatever it is they need to do today. But at any rate, this guy right here, that's the one. He needs to pull over. He needs to bring this thing to a stop. And of course, I would like to know what the original, what the reasoning is there too. Is it a stolen vehicle? Why are you guys running? Why are you keeping Fontana PD busy this afternoon?
Oftentimes too, when pursuits end up becoming too dangerous, law enforcement makes the call and decision to back off because they don't want to endanger other people on the road. In this case, obviously, we're not seeing erratic speed. Sure, we've seen some moments where I believe we saw this individual take the red light here and there at intersections, but for the most part, it hasn't been anything erratic. And so for this mere reason that it seems as though we're going nowhere, I mean, we're going somewhere but going nowhere, and that you're going to just wait for this guy to, I don't know, run out of gas or make the decision to pull over at some point. What if they were, or have they in the past, appeared to back off to make it appear as though, they're letting him go and then trail him and take care of business?
Well, you know what? It's a plan, and maybe somebody down there was watching. I'm being serious about that. I'm sure that there is some discussion about how they're going to handle this. I know that there's an airship over it besides us, and that they could actually keep following behind him and just put. It's called basically tracking mode. That's what they call it. Just kind of track this big rig to some point, and maybe just recover the big rig. Sometimes, if it is a stolen. That that's a win. Somebody's going to get their truck back. If they get the bad guy, that's a double win. That's the big win. But right now their plan basically is what we see right there. Just kind of stay behind them. Reckless driving, we're not seeing that. So it's a difficult call. How do you solve that? This is the life of law enforcement. This is what's might be going through this guy's head right now, or whoever the supervisor is in this pursuit. Because how long do you, like you said, how long do we chase this guy? And what do we do to try to bring this thing to an end? It is really a difficult process, and again, one of those ones where sometimes I think to myself, I'm glad I'm just a guy sitting in the back of a helicopter running a camera and watching these things, because I wouldn't want to be the one making those decisions, because I know me. And I would make that decision that would probably get me in trouble, but maybe bring this thing to an end.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision to make. Of course, they're following his pattern and any information they could gather from what's going on down below, and possibly the original want as well. Stu, I asked you earlier about some.
Is that the buddy again?
Communication.
We're back to the orange guy. Sweet divots. Look at that. Oh, it's Orange Lady. It's Orange Lady, I think.
Okay, and he took something from that car.
Off the roof.
Whoa! Oh,
yeah,
okay.
You wondered how they were going to pit it?
We didn't
there
see
you
that
go.
coming.
That's how they're going to do it. Woo! Where did that come from? Whoa, Sweet Divot Steak. Did you see that? Now that's going to be probably the Orange County. Let me see what agency that is. I believe either it's LAPD or Orange County. But boy, the game has changed, hasn't it? No more of those little cruisers. Now we got the big boys in here. Definitely SWAT. There's no doubt about that. And I'm kind of venturing to say, and now we're seeing it.
But
like that big rig, now he's driving.
It's still going.
It didn't do much.
No.
And that was a hard hit too. That was a hard hit right to the side. And that's kind of what I was saying also with the cruisers. If one of those little cruisers would have tried to do a pit maneuver and hit one of those tires, it'd probably just take off the bumper of the cruiser. This guy, this is an armored vehicle. This is like a real serious armored vehicle. Boy, I hope we do a story on what those things can do and what they can handle. But at any rate, there you go. That's how the game is going to change. Now he or she behind the wheel of that armored vehicle, they might be able to do another pit maneuver, and they might be able to spin this thing around. And then, of course, it's how do you block it in? It's not a done deal. That is for sure, but definitely a game changer.
Well, I mean, things I feel as though escalated as far as Daily Plus right now. Our viewers from Channel 13 joining us right now as we watch this pursuit, which began in Fontana, and we've been watching this since about 10:15 or so. Stu up in Skyfox giving us a play-by-play. As I was saying, I stopped to welcome all of you, but what we were watching was this attempted pit maneuver with a SWAT vehicle, which is something we don't see often, but obviously we're dealing with the cab there, a tractor trailer there, and it's a big, heavy vehicle, so they can't just use a regular police vehicle to attempt a pit maneuver. It does appear, as we take a closer look, Stu, that some damage obviously was done, but not enough to stop this vehicle. But as a result of bringing in a SWAT vehicle to do the pit maneuver, I feel as though it did escalate things. I do feel like there's a bit more of a sense of urgency and a bit more tension. We did see speeds pick up of the driver. So things definitely changed. This changed the game.
Definitely changed the game, and I hope everybody switched over to Channel 13 and is continuing on with us here at Fox. But check that out. Definitely took out that saddle, that tank saddle right there, and it's definitely leaking some fuel. Those tires, at some point we actually saw like it on the wheels, but we also saw a trail behind it, like there it is. You can see like right there where he made that turn. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely splashing. This other vehicle right here, that's probably going to be some other SWAT officers that are probably going to be there to assist fast as this thing definitely comes to an end. Now, you know, this is the thing also. Now we're leaking fuel. So is this going to be enough to bring it to to stall out that engine? Is it going to be enough? His driving definitely picked up. The adrenaline definitely picked up. The speeds, everything. So yes, it definitely changed the game. That driver of the BearCat, that's the official name or the brand of the armored vehicle, definitely did an amazing job. And took me by surprise, I'll tell you that. I didn't see that coming. But right now, the pursuit definitely continuing, and now we're back into that same neighborhood. And again, orange shirt. I'm not sure if that was the same orange shirt, but I think it was. I'm not 100%. So there must be some connection over here,
right.
Be it just, you know, they know each other or something. But there's definitely a passenger in there as well, so we don't, like you said, don't know any of the relationships, don't know who's who, and we don't know the players, but we do know some of these players. And that armored vehicle, that can do another pit maneuver. Is he going to have that opportunity? Hopefully soon. We'll see what happens out here. But that definitely changed up the game. Fontana PD seems to have fallen back a little bit. Busy street out here. Busy street. Busy street.
Yep.
And is going through a red light.
The
What do we got?
passenger
Doors
opening its
open.
door.
What's he? Yeah. Was he going to jump out? What's the plan here?
Well,
and of course, check out the
here
we're
we
gonna get in
go.
front. Yep.
Blocking him in.
And there's some of the other SWAT team.
Wow.
Yep, just going to box him in.
This is the closest
I got to wonder.
I've seen.
I got to wonder if this thing just ran out of fuel or if he just kind of changed his mind. But boy, I tell you, having some weapons pointed at you is going to change your attitude. Check him out. The passenger, hands
with
up,
cell
like
phone
right
in
out
hand.
the box.
Do you see the cell phone in hand there? At least that's what it looks like.
Yep, definitely has something in his hand. Maybe he's recording. Who knows? But the driver, we're going to kind of make a turn, see if we can get back over to the other side. We're not up here by ourselves. But at any rate, you can see law enforcement really rolling in here. I thought Fontana PD backed off, but boy, oh boy. And there's a lot of guns down there and a lot of bullets. I hope nobody gets hurt. But right now, the driver, we don't know if that door is open. We don't know if he can open the door. Yeah, door's definitely opening. There you go. You can see the mirror. So the driver and passenger stepping out, and the dog ready to go if needed. So we'll see what happens. And, you know, go ahead.
It's interesting to see the tactic, very different tactics after all these pursuits that we've seen. This time, law enforcement going straight in, straight up to the cab, not giving space, not letting these people do anything in terms of giving them space. So these law enforcement officials went straight up. The driver backing up now, arms up, out of the cab. They're going to make the arrest.
Definitely. And, it's all policy. It's all policy. And, policies can change in some places just between divisions. You might, CHP, I can tell you when it's CHP Ventura, those guys are still cowboys out there, and they will bring a pursuit to an end quickly. But the ones in the valley, they have a different policy, and they have to follow their rules. But you know what? You're right, and an excellent observation once again. Definitely different type of policy. This guy in custody, and like you said, they don't play around. The armored truck came around really quick, blocked it in. That turret guy jumped out with the weapon. And this guy's hands are up. And, this is the thing, too. I am sure he is waiting for the command to get down off of the truck and basically get taken into custody. He's not being defiant. He's actually waiting for permission. That is what's going on. But look at the number of law enforcement. Most of those are going to be the Fontana PD. I got to wonder if that is all Fontana PD. Maybe they got their SWAT guys in place, or if this is Orange County. I can't quite get the name right there. Is that, say, Orange County or North County? So this actually might be a Fontana SWAT department that actually joined the pursuit, which is, it says North, so this could be Fontana. And that is amazing that they wanted to take this guy in, and they did.
Hey, they don't mess around.
For sure.
That's right.
Don't mess around.
I wonder what's taking so long. That I understand, and thank you for clarifying that this individual isn't. There we go. It wasn't being defined. He was just waiting for orders. So there we have it. Arms raised up, whatever was in his hand, he put it down and following orders there, backing up, and he'll be taken into custody as well.
But this went on since
Definitely.
10:15 this morning, so quite some time, this pursuit, taking a toll on law enforcement as well as other drivers on the street, not knowing what was going to happen, and a swift end to this pursuit of a semi with different plates was the original want, not having the right plates on that cab, and that's what sparked all of this. Of course, the details unclear, but the investigation will just get underway as they clear that cab right now, putting this pursuit to an end. Fontana
All
police.
I have to say is I'm just very thankful no one got hurt because we were dealing with a large,
got hurt.
large vehicle, and
Yes.
certainly that could have played out very differently. All right, Stu and the crew, thank you for all of this.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll come back, do a proper hello,
That's right.
and more news.